If you have had any kind of job or if you have had any paycheck whatsoever, I bet you have noticed if you look through your pay stub that every single month, 6.2% of your money gets taken out for this thing called Social Security. And if you're watching this video, you're probably somewhere between 18 and 30 years old. And I bet you may have heard of what Social Security is before, but you probably haven't given any thought to it because it's just for old people. But what if I told you that 6.2% of the money that you were paying out into Social Security every single month was supposed to be coming back to you at some point in the future? However, not to be the bearer of bad news, you probably won't ever see it, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. But I wanted to set up a realistic scenario of what your life could potentially look like if you did get your money back that you paid into Social Security. And honestly, the reality could be shocking for most people. But if we haven't met already, my name is Anfernee, and on this channel I talk about personal finance, investing, and side hustles. And if you think you'll find anything of value in this video, go ahead and hit that like button for your boy, as it really does help the channel out. Also makes me happy. So as I said, the purpose of this video is I want to set up an average scenario of what a life could look like with realistic numbers, with realistic housing, with realistic everything of what life looks like trying to live only on Social Security for a month. So a few things I'm going to point out is that I initially went into this video trying to do it on my current budget. I don't live a very lavish lifestyle whatsoever. I live a very average, even below average lifestyle in most cases. Other than some car payments, I really don't spend a lot of money at all. Even with that, I wasn't able to fit the Social Security amount to my budget, even with trying to consider me only living by myself. So this scenario that I'm setting up in this video is going to be for one 26-year-old male. And I know you don't get Social Security at 72 years old. I'm going to explain that later. And this scenario is purely to see if you can survive on what retirees are living on right now. So let's get that out of the way altogether. But before we dive right into the challenge, I feel obligated to give you just a little bit more information on what Social Security is, just so you can understand exactly where I'm coming from and exactly what this money is supposed to be meant to do. So let's talk about what is Social Security. Social Security is basically a government program designed to provide financial benefits to individuals who are retired, disabled, or who are survivors of deceased workers. It is primarily funded through payroll taxes, so that 6.2% of the money that you get paid out is directly funding the people who are receiving Social Security every single month. So it gets taken out of your paycheck and gets given to someone else who is receiving Social Security. And to break it down to even more simple terms, Social Security has four main components. The first of those components is obviously going to be retirement benefits. And I'm just going to read off the screen here. It says Social Security provides income to people who have retired from work after reaching a certain age, typically starting as early as age 62 with full retirement age ranging from 66 to 67 depending on the year you were born. And this basically means that when you get old, you will be eligible to start receiving a check from Social Security. As well as Social Security also pays out disability benefits, survivor benefits, and supplemental security income that I'm not necessarily going to discuss in this video. And to break down how it works, once again, Social Security is funded by payroll taxes, where workers contribute 6.2% of their income into Social Security and employers match that 6.2% contributions for a total contribution of 12.4%. And as I said, the whole purpose of Social Security is to be a sort of financial safety net for workers so that when they reach retirement age and can't work anymore, they can maintain a basic standard of living. So this is going to differ from a 401k. A 401k is meant for you to maintain your standard of living, not a basic standard of living. So if you want to have an extremely lavish lifestyle, then you need to put more money in your 401k for retirement. Social Security is specifically to maintain a basic standard of living. So above anything else, you should be able to have money to eat, you should be able to have a roof on your head, and you should be able to drive a car if you are able to. So with that in our mind now, let's go into the scenario of trying to live only on Social Security for a month. And I'm going to share my screen to do most of this. Hey Anfernee, how you doing? But when I looked it up, I saw that the average Social Security benefit as of January 2024 was $1,909.01. And I created an entire budget spreadsheet to break down this money to try to live on it as efficiently as possible. And also another thing I want you to note about Social Security is that when you are receiving Social Security, if you have reached your retirement age and if you have put all your benefits into it, actually I'm not even going to say what I was just about to say, because what I was going to say is that you probably won't have to worry about not getting your paycheck from Social Security. But what I'm going to say at the end of this video may show you that you can't even depend on Social Security for a stable form of income anymore. So with a monthly benefit of $1,909, after breaking down our entire budget, I was able to see that we could afford about a $550 apartment a month. I am married, so if you are married in this scenario, you may be receiving 2 Social Security checks, but I decided to make this video based only on 1 Social Security check. So if you do have 2 Social Security checks, obviously your budget will be a little bit more lenient, but this is going to be based on 1 person. So with $550 a month, you would have to move to the lovely place of Hartselle, Alabama. Alabama's a great place, don't get me wrong. And this is the kind of apartments that you may be looking forward to. Honestly, I don't see anything wrong with this apartment. It seems to be clean, if not a little bit outdated, and it has everything that you would need for a basic standard standard of living. And just so you got them telling the truth, I saw a 1-bedroom apartment available for this apartment complex in River's Edge for $552 a month. And one important thing I want you to know about this apartment is that the only utilities that are included are trash removal. So it doesn't have water and energy included. All right, so now we know that we're living in Hartsville, Alabama. If you know anything about Alabama, this is not a very walker-friendly state, so we are going to need a car to get around. And when I was making this budget, I found when I did the auto loan calculator that I could afford just about a $231 car payment, with the loan value being $12,250 a month. And with that being said, I went and looked on cars.com and I was able to find a nice 2017 Nissan Murano for $10,244 with only 162,000 miles on it. I mean, look at this. It says it's a fair deal. It looks like a fairly new car. It could definitely get me from point A to point B, no problem. And the monthly payment for this is only $191 a month. So we have our place to live, we have our car, but as you know, when you own a car, you can't just have the car and not pay anything else. Luckily, I was able to get an insurance quote for this car, which says, I know it says 2015 Jeep Cherokee, but it says that if you got the lowest coverage and the highest deductible, you will only be paying $387 for 6 months, which rounds up to about $65 a month to insure this car. So that pretty much takes care of our auto expenses, although I do still want to save $25 a month for maintenance for the car. You know, we're going to have things like oil changes, going to have things like washer fluid top offs, even some flat tire changes. So we still need to put aside about $25 a month for car maintenance. And moving back to our apartment, what I don't want to forget to include is that on average for water and energy and gas, let's say we're going to be spending about $180 a month for utilities at this apartment complex, because as we saw, the only utility that was included was going to be our trash pickup. And then after this, we want to take into account one of our most expensive bills, which is actually going to be grocery and food expenses. So I was actually completely prepared to average this number out, but what I found online was that the USDA Food and Nutrition Service actually offers an average for how much a thrifty food plan would cost. And they describe a thrifty food plan as a nutritionist, practical, cost-efficient diet. They said the nutritional basis of the thrifty food plan are the dietary reference intakes, blah, blah, blah. And they basically said that this is how much you would spend if you ate on a thrifty diet. Now, it doesn't say exactly what is included in this thrifty diet on this page, but for one meal, 20 to 50 years, it says that on a weekly basis for a thrifty food plan, you will be spending $70.40 a week, or just about $305.20 a month. So what I'm going to base my budget on is this $305. I'm just going to take that number and add it to my budget. So now we have all of our major expenses taken care of, right? We have our house, we have our transportation as our Nissan Murano, and we have our grocery budget. What is left over also with the car, I keep going back to the car because there's a lot of expenses that go with this, is that on average, I saw that you spend about $200 a month in gas expenses. So we're going to add that to the budget right away so that we're not caught off guard. $200 a month, or about $50 a week, is going to go towards putting gas in our Nissan Murano. After this, other expenses that we will have to have, because we do live in the 21st century, we have to have a cell phone and a phone plan. I know it may be easy to say, Anfernee, I don't need that. I don't need a phone plan because I'm only making $1,900 a month. No, you're going to want one. You're going to get one. So you're going to get a cell phone plan and you're going to get Wi-Fi. And for the phone plan, I saw the average for that was $137 a month, which did seem a little bit high to me, but I'm going to roll with it. And the average home Wi-Fi plan was $85 a month. So we're going to take both of those expenses out right now. And then lastly, what's the point of having a phone plan and Wi-Fi if we're not going to purchase any streaming services? So we're just going to throw in Netflix for $17 a month so we don't have ads. And then we're going to buy a couple other subscriptions like Apple Music and Spotify, maybe Hulu, and we're just going to round that to $17 a month as well, to say that we're spending about $34 a month total on streaming services. Now, after all that, we are left with $85 a month. Huh? If you are looking at this and you're thinking that, well, maybe that's not such a bad lifestyle to work 40 years for and to then retire and to not worry about saving any money, I'm going to tell you exactly why you may not be able to reap any of the benefits that you're paying into right now. So Social Security and the Social Security Trust Fund is actually facing challenges that it may be completely depleted soon, meaning that there won't be any money to pay out anymore from the trust fund. And although as of right now that sounds really scary, I'm going to tell you exactly what that means. So as I said earlier in this video, Social Security is primarily paid out through payroll taxes, and when more money is paid in payroll taxes than is given out to the recipient, the surplus of that money is placed into the Social Security Trust Fund, and that trust fund is simply a reserve to cover future benefits if the payroll taxes doesn't cover enough to pay all of the recipients. And it has been said that this trust fund is getting dangerously depleted, so much to the point that within the next 10 years it will be gone altogether. And why is it getting depleted, you may ask? Well, there's a number of good reasons, but I'm going to give you the top 4. The first is an aging population. As the baby boomer generation retires, more people are starting to draw benefits from Social Security while less people are paying into Social Security. This increases the strain on the trust fund because less workers are supporting more retirees. The second reason is because of increased life expectancy. People people are living way longer than the system was initially designed to support. When it was first started, people were living to maybe 75 or 80, which is only 5 or 10 years after retirement. But now people are drawing on the Social Security for 20 or 30 years, which is definitely taking more money out than was initially intended. The next reason is declining birth rates. Less people are being born, which means there are less workers to support the more retirees. And also, last but not least, is going to be slow wage growth. Because Social Security is designed to be funded by payroll tax, with the wage stagnation, it means that the program over the years is receiving less revenue relative to the increased number of people who are drawing on those benefits. And all this goes to say is that experts project that if no changes are made whatsoever, that the Social Security Trust Fund will be completely depleted by the year 2034. And before you start to put on your aluminum hat and start to spout conspiracy theories, the payroll tax in the year 2034 is still projected to cover about 80% of the needs required Social Security, but the other 20% won't be covered by the trust fund, meaning that the recipients could receive a 20% pay cut just to avoid a deficit. Now, trying to figure out a solution for this is well above my pay grade, so I'm going to end the video here. If you found any kind of value in this video, make sure you tap that like button for your boy, as well as hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. If you do want to see more videos like this, then I can't wait to see you in the next one, guys. Peace.